Good morning, trading world. It is July 5th, 2022, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. The first half is over and buried. Where is the health of the market pointing to as the second half begins? Technically, we're set to build up for a rally, but fundamentally, the market can't seem to get out of its own way to let it happen. The bonds and the rates took a step back. Bonds came down from Friday's high of 141.11, seeming to come down a bit to open the door for a rally to build, or at the very least, some sideways chop for a while. But they haven't backed up enough for me to be completely confident in the rally yet. Rates tumbled back down below 3, way down to 27.91 before finding support. However, the dollar is still elevated, which says there is still a lot of fear. I am still waiting on a big bear market rally to fool people into thinking it's all over and the coast is clear to resume bull market behavior, only to take a month or two before resuming the second leg down of this structural bear market. The question for today is, I have up before you a 4-hour chart. The question on this 4-hour chart, as you can see, I've drawn a trend line from the previous low right now. Can we hold these higher lows on the 4-hour chart today? That's going to be the question. This is our trend channel, and this is the dead smack of that trend channel that we're trying to hold. And so the key thing is, this is why I say that 375 is going to be really key coming into today, because that kind of is where the bottom, or where we could go to kind of hold that higher low for today. So with that being pointed out, let's get to the key levels to watch for today. And here we are with the key levels of the day. Starting on the support side, we have our jack support, which we're at right now. We're actually losing at 378 to the 377 area. Then the most important factor of the day, which is going to be our queen support, which is the 376 to the 375 area. This holds that higher low that I was just talking about on the 4-hour chart. Then you have our king support at 374 to the 371 area. Now, if for some reason things begin to get crazy today, which when we're at a VIX this elevated, it is quite possible there's going to be another level below this down at 365 that I'm going to make note of. 365, 364. That's the channel low. That's the low of the channel. When I do the vol mapping, that's the low of the channel. So that should hold us if we get too crazy today. But I'll come back to that in a minute. All right. I've already made note of the key areas within the key areas to watch. And again, that's going to be that 375 on the support side. But on the resistance side, it's going to be 385 to 386. The 385 to 386 represents the nearest level of overhead supply. And again, that 375 represents the 4-hour higher low for continuation up. The main thesis for today is bearish, closing below 381.24 with a projected target low of between 377 and 371. The alternate thesis is bullish, closing above the 381.24 with a projected target high of between 382 and 389. I'm almost sure that we're going to be holding on to that 382, 389 for maybe a day or two later, tomorrow or Wednesday. Well, I'm sorry, Wednesday. We have a 4-day trading week. So Wednesday as a possible high, and if we get this higher low, we'll definitely be hitting that level at some point this week. The current channel we're in is 379. Okay. Let me make sure that where we are right now, because we're below that channel. We've actually dropped into the channel lower, which is 379 to that 364 area. Alright, and that brings us back to that if things get crazy, I'm looking for that 364 to kind of hold us. Where we closed that on Friday, as far as internals, kind of leaves so many doors open as far as day types and where we could head. But the most prevalent is a range day with a slight pullback, which we're already getting pre-market. So don't be surprised if we have a straight-on range day where we pull up from here and then come back and revisit, but kind of stay in this predetermined area. With that, let's bring up the scenarios of the day. All right, our first scenario of the day is going to be our expanded range day structure. We can look to set a decision area low boundary around the jack or queen support area before chopping back and forth and pushing the high boundary. And what I mean by pushing the high boundary, as you see, we chop back and forth, but each time pushing that high boundary higher and higher until at some point we cross the previous close, making this the expanded range day structure. So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is our rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued push lower toward the jack or queen support area and find midday chop around either the queen or king support area before spending the same type of energy we used coming down to go back up the second half of the day. And that is our rounded reversal day type structure. Now, before I move on to the last day type structure, it is quite possible we could have a vice versa on the rounded reversal day type structure, meaning we could get a day that actually looks like this, where we get a push up first, then find our midday chop, and then come back down. So that's the vice versa warning for the rounded reversal day type structure. Now let's get into the last scenario. Alright, our last day type structure we're looking out for is going to be the trend day down. Meaning we can open, gap down, represented by the blue line, and we start the session with a pop toward or back toward the previous close, represented by the blue line. We find resistance on or before that previous close, then we begin the downtrend for the morning. We find midday chop around either the possible queen or king support area, and usually start the second half of the day with a head fake, continuing the dominant trend for the morning, and then at some point getting kind of a rally into the close. So that's the day type structure that we're looking for. And usually, well, for me, most of the time, most of all of my trading, especially futures, are done in this golden window. If you've made money here in the golden window, you're asking to give it back by continuing trading here into the close. So just be aware of that. I hope this helps. And as tides kind of turn and we get closer to the open, it's starting to look more like a dominant downtrend day. So just be aware of that. The probabilities for each were kind of very close today, so it's not by any stretch of the imagination that we could actually have this trend day down today. So be on the lookout. See if we can hold this higher low coming into the 375 area. That's going to be very important today. And as always, please know and understand your risk. Your job, or number one job as a trader, is to protect the capital that you have. And we do that by risk management. As always, wishing you a positive trading day. Hope this helps. Have a great one.